welcome back to Reactivity TV, a special bonus episode. I'm Amy Albero, and I'm a licensed therapist.
I am Chris. I'm not a licensed therapist, but what I am is somebody who's heard a lot of commentary on this show. And quite frankly, I think a lot of people are either just missing it, getting it wrong, or being a little bit of a coward and not being willing to tell the truth of what's actually happening in this show. And so I'm here as the reality TV honesty broker to fill the audience in on all the stuff that they may have missed.
You're going to illuminate us.
Illuminate,
with your wisdom.
enlighten.
I guess we'll see.
Because sunlight's the best disinfectant.
Okay, well, we are here talking about Love is Blind, episodes 7, 8, and 9. So we're going to get into all of our thoughts and opinions in these 3 episodes. But before we do that, please hit that like button at the bottom of this video and subscribe. We love our growing community. We love the action in the comments. Keep your thoughts coming. You know, Chris is saying he's the honesty broker, the truth sayer, but let us know if and when you disagree with him.
I think most people agree with me. Also, be sure to hit that bell icon so that you're alerted anytime we post new content to the channel. So let's do some opening thoughts.
Okay. I was really bored. I didn't really have a lot of notes to take. I mean, with each couple, there are definitely some sticking points that I think are important to address. But this, like, once the love quad left, the drama pretty much ceased to exist for the most part. So I'm just kind of getting through it. Like the fact that in Honduras, we only got 1 episode and nothing happened. That's usually where like drama exists. And so I was just like, all right, let's get out of Honduras. Let's get to, you know, when they live together, maybe something will get kicked up here. And it just never really felt like I got that taste of drama that I was craving.
This was a little bit too nice and a little bit too drama-free for me. There's not a lot actual in terms of like meat to really be real captivating. Like that's what reality TV is it's you want to, as you oftentimes put it, you know, enjoy the messiness of it all. And everybody's being really aware of the cameras. Everybody is being nice. I think the 5 couples we have, for the most part, are pretty genuine in their interest of one another. We've met the families. The families all kind of got along for the most part. It's just a really nice season that's mostly drama-free, which results in my mind kind of wandering because there's just nothing to constantly grab me and entice me.
But nice is different than kind.
Agree.
Nice, I agree that it's nice, but it's also fake. And I think that we definitely see that especially in a couple of the couples, where it's really just a little too nice. And I wish that, you know, to quote back to the OG reality TV show, The Real World, when people stop being nice and start getting real, like that's what I want to see. Yeah,
that was also 30 some odd years ago when
before social media
and before people understood the power of production and editing.
Yeah. Right. Well, I mean, and again, people are really aware of the edit. They're really aware of social media's response. We already see social media get kind of pulled in on this season. And so, yeah, I mean, let's not get ahead of ourselves. Let's just dive in.
Yeah. All right. So let's start off with the cliffhanger, right? And that was Daniel and Taylor with the now infamous, you followed me and unfollowed me, of which I still, as somebody without social media, don't understand. So the backdrop here is that at some point in time, relatively recent, within a few months of them going on this show, she thinks that Daniel followed her. When she didn't respond, he unfollowed or removed his request to follow. And she has this distinct picture in her mind, and she's now out there trying to figure out if he was on for the wrong reasons.
Right. Well, because she had also maintained that in her Instagram bio, there was enough information there that he could have known who she was in the pods and maybe use that information to potentially manipulate in order to get engaged, ? Like, I don't really, there's not a whole lot of logic behind this. And I don't also think she understands male social media behavior.
Absolutely. All right. So there's a couple things here. One, no man has ever read a bio in the history of social media. Men are object oriented. We flip through pictures. Oh, pretty girl, follow. Right? If that pretty girl then doesn't post interesting things on her social media and I happen to notice, which I may or may not, then I unfollow, right? Like no man has ever gone into a bio and actually read anything in those bios. It just doesn't happen. So like the belief that somehow these 3 lines or whatever you can actually see,
Right.
the teaser content in a private thing is enough to do what she's suspecting he's doing.
Well,
is already
she's projecting,
ludicrous.
female social media behavior to
Absolutely, yeah.
because
this is what you do. You all do your deep dive sleuthing.
Well, that's the thing. That's what I was just going to say is like there are so many memes that are going around like, like sign me up to be in the FBI because I could find out, this person's, brother, sister's, cousin's, wedding cake decorator. Like, just give me a few minutes and I can do it. And so I think that she is projecting how she might engage with social media onto him, but it's apples and oranges here.
I mean, yeah, exactly. I mean, men and women are very, very different in our behaviors in all walks of life, and this is definitely one of them. And we know this intuitively that men don't do this because whenever a man does need to sleuth, what does he do? He goes and asks his sister. He goes and asks his female friend or his buddy's girlfriend, right? Like we all know this. When a man needs to sleuth, he doesn't sleuth. He goes and gets a female close to him to do the sleuthing for him. Right? And we've all experienced that. So we all know that this is intuitively true. So you're right. It's pure projection. And look, I get it. It's a fascinating thing in dating where, women are so concerned about so many factors. And yet, even when they are concerned about those factors and sleuth on those factors and have red flags on those factors, they then proceed to ignore those factors. Men don't do any sleuthing. The number of factors that they care about or have concern about or even have reason to be concerned about in the dating market are very narrow. And the second that they get one flag, they're out.
Right.
And they don't even do any sleuthing to see if it's even reasonable flag. Like, is it even a true flag? No, there's a flag there. I'm gone. And it's just so interesting.
Yeah, women love a project and maybe that's a generalization. But again, I think that there is this idea that we can change a man, we can train a man. And I think that from the perspective of, if a person has a goal of being in a committed relationship or, marrying someone, it's like, well, let me know what there is to know up front. And then I can see what I can work with, like with the goal of molding them into a husband. And so I guess what we're getting at is like, there needs to be a happy medium between the way that women might see and ignore flags, or see it as like, okay, these are the things that need refinement. And men might see one thing and cut and run. So I don't know.
So I had said last week that Daniel should just ask production to give his phone over to Taylor and see if there's any there, right? And turns out Taylor has to admit that she's got a follower-unfollower app, which is a mind-boggling. Who thought that this was a great invention and people use it? I mean, the differences between men and women. Insane.
I really don't understand the point of this.
Sure, but you know what? It's great for Daniel. Great for Daniel. So production comes over and offers a phone, and I'm sure at this point
they were like salivating,
desperate. They're like, we lost our quad, we lost our drama. We need something. Please, Daniel, be there. Spoiler: he was not there. And so they have a cute little Bueller moment, which I thought was cute and lightened the mood a little bit. But when push comes to shove, she could not find him. It was really cut up in the editing, so we don't even know if she found like the picture she was thinking of. They never show that. But she admits like, okay, I'm wrong. And even after that, she's like, so I think we'll make it to Honduras. And I'm like, what do you mean you think? You were just wrong. Like everything you just complained about.
I think she felt really badly and felt really guilty. And she was definitely in her head. We hear her later say she's like the president of the overthinking club.
Yeah.
And so it seems like, her thoughts and worries can get her on like a little bit of a runaway train. And we hear her say a number of times she feels really badly. She feels really guilty. And so I think that there probably is a part of her that worries that this may have set them back and he might not want to go with her anymore. But of course, Daniel is wonderful Daniel. And he's like, if you don't want to go to Honduras, if you still want to take some time and if you just want to go back home, that's what we'll do. If you want to go, we'll go. Like he is really trying to be as supportive and patient and a partner to her as best as he possibly could.
Yeah. I will say that Daniel looked through this entire thing incredibly guilty. He's like, palms are sweating. He's getting real nervous.
He's in love with this woman and he thinks that like this could be the end of their relationship. And so I think that's the nervousness. But listen, we don't need to belabor the point here. They work through it. They get to Honduras. They seem to have a lovely time.
So we meet Daniel's family first. They seem very lovely. They seem open to the process. They just kind of good feels, good vibes all the way around. I like a little bit of brotherly ribbing that we got in there because as somebody with brothers, that's a very natural and true thing. We got the introduction to his sister who is blind, and we got some additional backstory there. Again, like not a lot to say here other than super wholesome, great family on the surface.
Well, I think that the family was able to resonate so much with this experiment, this, TV show, because they could relate it so much to, the parents, what their daughter navigates through, and Daniel, what his sister navigates through. And it gives them perspective of what she experiences. And that probably meant a lot. And that probably did allow them to abandon some of the hesitations that maybe other families might have, because they can relate to this experience in some way. And I thought that was really meaningful and really beautiful. But the parents really did seem solid. They seemed to really trust Daniel and trust that they knew who he is and trust that he could make good decisions, like that they've done their job as parents. And we see that kind of come up later when we meet Taylor's parents.
Yeah. And so we meet her parents, and interestingly enough, this is not a meet her family and move on. This is a meet her family. Oh, and by the way, Daniel's family is going to come over too. And so
it's a big deal.
I mean, could you signpost that we are serious about this anymore? There are plenty of seasons where we don't, and plenty of couples where we don't ever see the families meet until the wedding day. So for the opening meeting, they're doing everything to tell the world we're serious about this.
Right.
And this isn't, just for the show. I
do think it was very good strategically on Taylor and Daniel's part to have Daniel's parents come, because clearly family is such a strong value for both of them. Faith also seems to be a strong value. And so I could see, here's this stranger coming into your home, engaged to your daughter, right? And you have no context for who this person is, but then getting to see a wider context of let me see where he comes from. Let me see the people that raised him. Let me talk to them. Helps you, give a more well-rounded idea about who this person is, the family that your daughter's also going to become a part of. I mean, I think it went a really long way in helping the mom feel a little bit more grounded, that this is going to be okay. They're serious. They're good people. They, we align. Taylor's mom was also very adamant, we don't do divorce in this family. So you have to be serious about this because there is no going back, basically. And that's not something we hear very much anymore in general, but on this type of platform.
Yeah. Yeah. I think the meeting went really well, as well as could be. I think, Daniel continues to shine.
He asked for their permission.
Did ask for their permission. Yep. And they granted. I mean, I don't think that he could have done anything better. No. The problem is it is boring TV.
Yeah.
But they're so likable.
Yeah.
They're so lovable. They're cute together.
Yeah.
You root for them. You just feel like what could get in their way other than Taylor maybe overthinking, but even Daniel has already demonstrated his ability to, at least thus far, navigate her overthinking and bring her to a point of ease.
And they do talk about how Daniel does seem to be more calm, grounded, laid back, and that's a really good balance for Taylor.
Yep. Anything else you want to talk about with them?
No,
they just seem like they're getting to the altar.
They're my favorite couple. I'm rooting for them. He's my favorite man on the show, and for someone that I was so annoyed with in the beginning and kind of felt like he was super boring, he's really grown on me. He's just such an endearing guy, and they both are. They're so cute together.
They both seem very genuine, and
sincere.
Yeah, exactly. So, not a lot to say. They're a great couple. They're boring TV. Right.
Okay, let's move on to not as great of a couple, but a little bit more interesting TV.
It's funny you even call them a couple.
So let's set the stage a little bit, right? I think something that we may have talked about in the, second round of pod episodes is that Dave picked Lauren because he thought he should.
Because she's very manipulatable. Well, and she demonstrates that in this episode.
In some ways, she's good on paper. Sure, she's a teacher. She's a good girl, that kind of thing that I think that he's ultimately looking for, or thinks that he wants, or thinks that he needs.
Sure. Yeah.
Right. So nothing really notable happens in Honduras across all of the couples except for one thing. And that is that Dave and Lauren initially chatting a little bit. Lauren essentially says, we're not having sex, gives a very convenient reason to not have sex, but essentially sets this boundary of we're not having sex.
I understand what she's doing here. She is being dishonest.
Mm-hmm.
She does not want to have sex with him right now for a variety of reasons. Too soon, doesn't trust him, whatever. But she is using...
She's giving a convenient
excuse. Giving a convenient excuse, which unfortunately is just like not believable excuse.
That is actual guidance that you get.
Look, I'm
just
not saying I'm not saying it's not actual guidance. I'm saying, like, in the history of the world,
has that been the only reason?
Has that actually prevented people from having sex? The answer is like no. Like, it's just
you don't know that in the history of the world. But anyway, besides the hyperbole over on your side, so they have this initial conversation where they're not having sex. Long story short, they're not having sex. Dave really cares about what other people think. Right? We know he's into aesthetics. Literally, that's the field he works in. We know he's into, again, comparing himself to others. That's important to him in some way. How he stacks up compared to other people. And so, what does he do? He surveys all of the other individuals that are, out of the pods now, and asks them if they are having sex or what their like physical intimacy situation has been. That was so cringy, but also so notable. And so I just want to
it's in line with his personality.
Exactly.
It's exactly what you'd expect of Dave.
Yes.
Yeah.
And so it may have given him a little bit of peace that he wasn't the only one that wasn't having sex, that there wasn't anything wrong with Lauren per se, and there wasn't anything wrong with him for not having sex, and that he could be okay with that. Where the problems come are when they get their phones back, and apparently, where they live in Minnesota is like a small town, and everyone knows everyone, and everyone's talking, and there's some overlaps here in terms of who Lauren has had some romantic or sexual relationships with, and the people that run in Dave's circle, and it runs amok for Dave.
What he says is happening, right, is that he doesn't understand how somebody could be hooking up in a relationship, whatever, days before, or even weeks before, or even like months before, and then go on this show to find love. This is obviously not logical. We'll come back to that in a second. But it's also not something that men would care about in the sense that he's trying to state it. So we already know there's a bunch of things wrong here in the statement. He's also saying that his sister and his friends are very concerned about this, and that they're texting him, and it's creating some complications for him. Also, any man who hears that knows that this is a lie. I've said it many times. Men don't care about this stuff. They don't care about who you're dating unless you're dating somebody who's getting in the way of the friendship in some way, shape, or form, right? Lauren's not that type of girl. She's basically a pushover. So like the fact that some guy would be like, oh, hey, I heard your guy dated this other guy. Never happened. That was never a conversation in the history of male conversations. We just don't talk about our relationships like that. Certainly not at that age. Like as we get older, we talk a little bit more, but like still not to that degree. And so everything about what Dave is saying is just like pinging flags, like lies. Any man who hears any of this knows he's lying. And so the question isn't, is he lying? The question is, why is he lying? And
so you think he's lying that he's bothered by this, or you think he's lying?
Oh no, he's absolutely bothered. He's lying about why he's bothered.
Okay, so you think that the lie is that his friends are really concerned about this.
His friends don't care. His sister might care, but she's a female, so you'd expect her to care about this more.
And the thing that the friends and family are supposedly worried about is that she's there for the right reasons. I
mean, he's a little unclear, but it doesn't really matter. They're bothered by it, and the bothering why they're bothered matter.
Yeah, and what he keeps saying is, I don't understand how you could be in a relationship with someone and then go on the show and get engaged.
Yeah, and it's very clear she wasn't in a relationship, not an actual dating.
And they keep getting in this tug of war over those words because he's not being actually honest about what the problem is.
Here's the thing. Okay. Lauren does not understand what's actually the problem. Her friends don't understand what the problem is, and none of the girls that she kind of confides in to help her navigate this situation understand what the problem is.
What's the problem?
Okay, here's the thing. And women don't like this reality, and it doesn't matter if you like it or not. This is the reality. And you see a ton of commentary about this. So I'm not breaking new ground here, right? Okay. You told this man that you're now engaged with that you are not having sex with him. He cares about sex. Okay. That's fact one. Okay. You have been having a friends with benefits, casual, no strings attached hookup session with other people. This guy, there are certainly probably others, right? Okay. Fact two. Now, in a woman's mind, you hear this commentary all the time, especially online, like, oh yeah, like I'll just hook up with a guy because like, hey, yeah, I want to hook up. But like when I find that right person, then I'm going to do it right. I'm going to make him wait and I'm going to make sure he's worthy. Okay, fine. That's your prerogative. That's you absolutely can do that. The problem is that from the male perspective, the man is saying to himself, so I am going to wine and dine you. I'm going to cherish you and care about you. I'm going to protect you. I'm going to dedicate myself to you. And I'm getting delayed on my reward. Meanwhile, the guy who treated you like crap and did none of those things and gets the immediate reward. Why would I do these things for you? What is it about me that I'm the one who's doing all the things that you say you want and need? And I'm the one who's giving you, the long-term commitment. And I'm the one who actually makes out the worst in the deal.
Yeah.
Dave is not going to say that. He's not going to say that because he knows that the majority of people who watch his show are women.
What he really needs, what he is actually saying is, I'm mad at you because you had sex with him and you aren't having sex with me. Basically,
it's not even mad. Mad's wrong.
But
it's,
the thing,
it's more insulting to him.
Sure.
It's not mad. It's offensive and insulting. I'm the one doing all the things that I'm supposed to do. I'm the one who's giving you all the long-term commitment, and yet I don't get rewarded. And meanwhile, the other guy does none of the things. Basically, just treats you like a piece of meat, and you just give him the reward. Like, why am I going to do?
And I think what contributes to like I keep using the word mad. I think he's mad. You can say insulted, but whatever, upset. He's having a reaction. But I think what contributes to the reaction is the more, again, this tug of war and him saying you had this relationship and her saying it didn't mean anything.
But she doesn't understand because he's not being honest about why he actually is upset. Because
but she keeps emphasizing how casual it is, which I think highlights. It's making it worse.
There's a perfect. Yes, absolutely. There's a perfect synopsis of it. Highlighting how casual it is actually highlighting in his mind just how much the disparity is between the reward factors. Right. It's actually probably making it worse. But it doesn't really matter because he is actually already out here.
Yes.
And at this point, he's doing the classic, he's going to get her to break up with him because he's too aware of the cameras, too aware of the edit. He's too, too on social media. And so he is already stepped entirely back. And everything he's doing is leading to forcing Lauren to break up with him to, kind of save face type thing. Nothing he's doing at this point is genuine. We go on and he talks about how, I don't really want my friends to come over. I don't think we should do this big friends party thing anymore. Yeah, because if you do the friends party thing, she's going to ask the question and all of your friends are going to say, yeah, I don't give a shit about it. I don't know what you're talking about because he's lying because his friends don't care. And this is all.
Well, I think it's a way that he also, kind of dangles this carrot. Like he's kind of punishing her in a way.
I mean, yes, he is punishing her in a way, but I don't think the punishment is intentional. The punishment is a byproduct of him just trying to save his image, his ego, his face, get her to break up with him in the classic,
Do you think there's a world in which Dave could have said, essentially a more polished version of what you described is probably the underlying issue?
No, Dave can never say it. There's no way that Dave could have had that conversation. He would have been canceled. He knows that the majority of women who watch TV are women. The majority of people on social media are women. It just goes bad for him every which way. The reality is in 2025, we as men are not allowed to in any way, shape, or form criticize women, especially women's sexual behaviors, despite, how we may feel about it. It just, there's nothing he can say here he cannot tell the truth here.
Mm-hmm.
The truth is off the table, right? Feminism has taken truth off the table. And as a result, he has to lie here, or he has to just get canceled and look bad. So this is Lauren's problem, is that she does not understand what the true truth is.
Right.
And so she's trying to defend against something that's not actually the problem.
Mm-hmm.
And to your point earlier, she's actually making the problem worse by actually highlighting exactly what the real truth of the matter is, and by highlighting the problem of what the problem elucidated within the real truth.
Right. And like while watching this, I was feeling a lot of not necessarily empathy for Lauren, but a lot of sympathy for her. And I was feeling like it's getting sad. Like, look at this, like step back and look at this. Like, yes, I mean, break up with yourself, sure. But like, stop fighting for this. Like, stop fighting.
I have no sympathy for either of them. Dave is an asshole, and Lauren is a pushover, weak-backed individual. If she had said, you know what, something about this isn't making sense, we're not connecting, can we go off camera and go and have a real conversation? Dave probably still doesn't tell the truth, but at least then the opportunity is there. And he can say, look, this is the reality, right? This is how I'm really feeling. And I'm not telling you have to have sex with me, but what I am telling you is that, it makes me feel really bad knowing that I'm doing all this work and you're telling me that I don't get the prize, and you're just giving that prize to other people who aren't doing any work. And I feel really bad about myself about that. And I feel really bad about the relationship, like I'm doing something wrong. I think there's probably a window here where, again, look, everybody has the opportunity to grow and change. Everybody has the opportunity to say, I did something wrong in the past and I am not going to make that mistake in the future. That is fair game, and everybody should aspire to that. And nobody should have to, feel forced to engage in a behavior or anything like that they have done in the past just to appease their partner in the future, their ego. That being said, there are, I think time helps. If this is 4 years later, it's a lot different than, a month ago.
Sure.
Right. And I do also think that there are other things that she could do, right? She could be more open and honest about this. The fact that he's getting this dropped on him after Honduras, once they've already gone through,
and not from her.
Directly from her, that would have gone a long way. I think that there are other ways to quote unquote like reward him non-sexually that like would make him feel like, oh, okay, like maybe they got that reward, but like I'm getting this other thing and I understand because we've had a conversation why I'm not getting this other reward, right? And so there are ways to do this, but it requires maturity that neither of them have. It requires communication skills that neither of them have. I think it does require some amount of time between what we'll call the mistake or the choice that you no longer, that you no longer want to engage in. And none of that exists in this situation.
Yeah.
And I think that's the toughest part.
They have too weak of a foundation or barely a foundation to even have this conversation. So
yeah. And Dave is also not actually there for the right reasons, right? Yeah. He's a fame chaser. It's very clear. And, it's not going to take a lot to push him out the door. It's just not.
Right. All right. Let's move on to our next couple, Ben and Sarah.
Give them the award. What's the actors award, the Oscar? Give them the Oscar for best acting of the season
or worst acting of the season.
Oh my God. So this couple, it felt like to me, Sarah had spent the time between the first look and their arrival in Honduras just writing a script out and practicing in front of a mirror of everything she wanted to say. And then when they got to Honduras, she's like, the camera's on? Okay. Ben, I love you. Winky.
Yeah.
We have such a great connection. Hug. It was awful. I mean, it's the whole time with them. It's
a rough watch.
It's rough. But let's say they kind of look good together.
Mm-hmm.
They are leaning a lot into being fun and playful.
Mm-hmm.
They're sort of avoiding any meaningful connection points, values, and
they seem attracted to each other.
Yeah, exactly. So, this is probably the roughest couple to watch because you just know they're not right for each other. Neither of them's ready. It's so performative.
Yeah. Honduras specifically was like, it was rough. I rolled nearly through the entire thing. And then we get back to Minnesota, and we have a meeting of the friends, Ben's friends, and I'm going to put friends in quotes because
These are not his friends. I'm
they
sorry.
seemed like props. They really did.
This just furthered this is a performance narrative. Like, you went off and you got like the most diverse group of people. You made sure that you had the gay person there to bone up the gay bona fides over on that side to allay Sarah's concerns about her sister.
Some diversity.
It's just like, and even the friends felt like they were scripted. They weren't even likable. They were very unlikable. Everything about this meeting was just like, ugh, come on. Like, I've seen better acting, at a grade school play. It was terrible. Everything about this relationship just feels fake,
right?
Feels tortured. Yeah.
And then the over the top fakeness continues when they get back, I think, from the friend meeting, and Sarah's on the couch and she's, oh my God, like with her phone, seeing the TikTok that was reportedly about Ben.
Yeah. The Screen Actors Guild is not going to be calling Sarah anytime soon. I don't know if they call people, but
right.
Yeah.
Well, so let's get into a little bit of this TikTok thing. I'll say that I did not watch the original TikTok. I do not want to flood that influencer's page. I don't want her to continue to profit off of her breakup. I don't understand dating TikTok. I really don't. I really don't. So I haven't watched it.
I saw it. Somebody else sent it to me, not the link. Somebody else's video criticizing her video. So I watched it through somebody else's video.
I've not seen the original video. I've seen people summarize her video.
Okay. Yeah. No, they actually played both her videos.
Oh, there's two.
Yeah, there's two. Yeah.
So Sarah gets either sent this video, or she comes across it on her own. And reportedly this person doesn't name names, but says, Minneapolis Love is Blind cast got leaked, and, how dare they let these awful men on TV. One of them is a manipulator, and definitely not there for marriage. And he's someone that she went on a date or two with 4 years ago, and she's like crying in this video. So Sarah watches it, and she's like, and Ben's like, yeah, I'm pretty sure that's about me.
So before we get into the responses, so let's just summarize. A woman crying, supposedly only went on 1 or 2 dates with this person 4 years ago when they were 23. And no details about what the actual manipulation or anything was. So no claims of abuse or anything like that.
Just that manipulator.
Yeah.
So Ben immediately was like, yeah, I'm pretty sure she's talking about me. Sarah is like disturbed by this and says, I'm not going to dismiss her, but like, what happened? And so he describes that they met on Tinder, went on 1 date, maybe 2. He ghosted her, and then she had reached out to him through time, and they had maybe met up, at bars or things like that. Through time.
Never
hooked up, maybe kissed,
but never hooked up.
And then Sarah's like, but why is she crying? And why is she talking about this on TikTok 4 years later if it was just a ghosting?
Sounds like a her problem, not a me problem.
Sounds like an influencer problem.
To me, it's like, couldn't tell you. You want to know the truth? I went on 1 date with this girl. That's right there. That's why it was 1 date. That's my answer. That's why it was 1 date.
It just is so like, why would she do that? Because that's what gets, I haven't watched the video. I don't know how many likes or follows or I'm sorry, likes or views it's gotten, but you make money from that. You actually profit from that. That's why that device is not trustworthy.
Not that dissimilar to Jen Tran's, was it Matthew? Matthew pops in, some guy she dated like 3 years before for like 2 months, suddenly pops in like, I'll marry you.
Right,
it's like,
I love you. Yeah.
You fame chaser. It was exactly that kind of situation is what it felt like. But I mean, here's the thing. I thought Ben, he gets like a C+ here, right? Basically, he says like, yeah, didn't sleep with her, went out with her a couple of times. I ghosted her. Don't really know anything else beyond that. Don't really remember. Where he says don't remember, like that's where he kind of goes wrong, because that feels like you're hiding something. The answer is, I went out with her a couple of times. You saw the video she just put out. That's why I'm not with her. She is claiming a lot of things with no evidence and no details based on 1 date and a couple of meetups at a bar. In modern dating, plenty of people go on 1 or 2 dates, meet up a few times, realize it's not for them, and disappear. Yeah. That's super common.
Right.
What was manipulated about that? We don't know. No details, right? So,
and also, does it matter?
It doesn't matter.
Does it matter now? 4 years later, does it matter? 23 to 27.
Even if she got the indication that he was not interested in marriage at 23, which what guy is interested in? Like, you're not telling news here to say that 23-year-old men in, this day and age are not interested in marriage. Like, what guys are? That was 4 years ago. A lot changes in 4 years. A lot, especially between the ages of 23 and 27. None of this matters.
This feels like a red herring. This feels like the same kind of cliffhanger that we get left off of the Pods episodes with Taylor and Daniel. It's like,
this is my suspicion, right? That production is struggling so aggressively and so hard because the quad is gone and there's no drama this season whatsoever. Even the families are all getting along, that they are just so desperate. I am sure this event happens every season to virtually every guy on that season. Like, I would be shocked if it didn't, right?
Well, we had the whole Ashley and Tyler situation from the last season.
Yeah, and you had what was the guy with the psoriasis? Trevor? Taylor, Trevor, something like
Trevor.
that. Like these types of things happen all the time and they don't even make news. Usually we hear about them after the fact. It feels to me like production is so desperate to make some drama happen that they're just pushing stuff that wouldn't even make it on normal seasons.
Yeah, I think so too.
And this is one of them. There's no there, right?
Yeah. And who knows, maybe this is just another convenient out because this is not a couple that should be together. They're so, we were talking about this a bit last night over dinner. They are so performative and so inauthentic that I just don't trust them. I don't buy a word that they are selling. They are difficult to watch. It's so obvious that they are just being too nice.
Yeah.
It's just get off my TV. Yeah. And I think it's so hard, like if I think about The Bachelor, I have a much easier time being a therapist, putting my therapist hat on, watching The Bachelor, because while that is a lot of orchestrated drama, of course, and like you can, as you've said recently, like kind of feel the hand of production, you see people behaving pretty honestly. Here, it just feels so contrived, so overly performed, where I feel like I can't even, there's nothing for me to assess or analyze because it's all filtered so much that like I can't even really give a solid take of what's going on because they're not giving me anything honest.
Well, here's something honest, I'll say. Ben got a lot of criticism from me about walking back on his principles and values in the pods. And I had said at that point in time, like, I really don't like that aspect. If you don't have principles, if you only engage with them and follow them when it's easy. So I was pretty critical about that. I had criticisms about Sarah, but it wasn't on the principles and values point. I will say now, I am going to make the same criticism to Sarah that I made about Ben. So maybe they are perfect for each other. In the pods, she said multiple times, I don't like that answer, and then proceeded to completely ignore the fact that she had concerns. Okay, fine. Outside of the pods, we have now seen her multiple times say, I don't like that answer. And what does she do? Completely ignore that red flag again. And so in very different ways, they are both demonstrating that they are wildly unprincipled and unvalued, right? And not tethered to their actual value systems. They are, feel younger. While they may not necessarily be younger, they do feel like the youngest members, the cast members. And I think a lot of this is just, they don't know who they are. It's very clear they don't know who they are. It's very clear that they both are sort of just following the wave and are just, it's a hard watch.
Yeah.
And so, at this point, you said you don't trust them. I 100% agree with that.
Yeah.
Yep.
Do you know who I do trust?
Joey?
I trust Joey.
Man, did anybody get a better, Daniel and Joey are just vying for kings of Love is Blind. Josie's awesome. Monica's great too.
Yeah.
They are so
But Joey
so fun.
oozes authenticity and honesty, which makes his Monica's sister's claim like so bogus.
Absurd. Yeah.
But wow, what a guy. Like, and seeing him like interact in real life outside of the pods has really made him grow on me. I think he's given a great show for us.
Yep. So Joey and Monica, super cute together, super fun, lovable, weird,
quirky.
like just, but like engaging, like everything about these two is just like, I hope they make it. And
Yeah.
I don't see any reason why they wouldn't make it, just because they just seem, and this could be production pulling, whatever. But this is one of those seasons where they're so desperate for drama that if there was drama in any couple, I think they would give it to us.
Mm-hmm.
So the fact that we're getting no drama whatsoever from Joey and Monica.
Well, the sister is the drama.
Well, the sister, yeah, but she's going to be a non-factor here very quickly. But I mean, it's they really, I think, are just sort of like perfect for each other.
Mm-hmm.
So we get out of the pods, we go to Honduras, like all the other couples. Honduras is completely non-event, boring.
Mm-hmm.
And then we get back. And the big discussion is about the sock bin, which is weird. Okay. Like our whole family's just going to throw socks in a bin and you're just going to grab whatever socks you want. If they were like, no, those are just all the socks, but like
find your own
in there.
Yeah.
I'm on board. I'm 100% on board at that point. But it's just like communal socks. It's weird.
Yeah, agreed. But the main focal point of their drama, as I've said a couple of times, surrounds Monica's sister, who I am forgetting her name, but she essentially pulls Monica aside and says, like, I don't think he's for you. I've always pictured you with some like tall Italian type.
Yeah, haven't we all?
And I was like, yes. And like, I don't picture him with you. And I also like, don't think that he's being very honest and truthful.
The most honest person in the history of reality TV, bar none, anywhere ever, is Joey. Oh, man. How do you lose an argument before it starts? That Joey guy, I don't think he's very honest.
It's just why, and
It's
Monica's
so absurd.
like, Monica's like, she doesn't really give her sister like a lot of ammo for like her argument or whatever, but she like, it definitely sits with her and bothers her because for her family is very important, and it's important that Joey and her sister get along. So she does bring this up to Joey.
Well, before we get there, I just want to point out, like, the actual family events,
Joey kills it.
Killed it. I mean, first off, they're bringing out the tambourines and the flutes and the whatever. And it's just like the whole thing is just over the top nuts. But you just feel like, oh, I totally get it. I understand where she came from.
He was busting the balls of the sister's boyfriend.
Oh, that was so good.
It was so good. But do you think that was the catalyst?
Oh, I'm sure that bothered. Yeah, I'm sure that. Look, the sister's boyfriend right now is, started talking to Monica first. Monica's, engaged first. She's supposedly going to get married first now. This is the older
that's what the sister had said. I thought I'd be married first.
Yeah,
I guess it's going to be you.
Yeah, the whole thing. Joey kills it here. But if I have one criticism, it is that some of his jokes could have landed negatively on the sister if the sister is insecure.
Sure.
Right. And so if I've got one criticism, that is it. That being said, I would have made the same joke. Those are funny jokes. Yeah. Everyone was laughing.
And they had a good banter. The boyfriend and Joey had a good banter. Oh, yeah, he was such a good sport.
He just felt like, hey, I've been here before. Like, I'm just part of the family. I'm not the new guy. Like, Joey crushed it on every axis, but I think, the sister obviously is already a bit jealous, and I think Joey's commentary to the sister's boyfriend, kind of ribbing him a little bit, definitely could have brought out some of the sister's insecurity.
Oh yeah, because the jokes were essentially like, you're just here still trying to get Monica, basically.
Yeah.
Like, you're playing the long game here.
Yeah.
So yeah,
I'm sure right where you want her.
I'm sure that didn't help.
So when they're back at the apartment, Monica asks Joey, how did things go? He says, I think it went really well with your mom, really well with your father. I don't think your sister likes me. And that spawns an entire conversation from there.
Right. And his premise seems to be, I don't think that I did anything like to make her not like me, but I'm open to feedback.
Very mature response.
Loved it.
Yep. She emphatically comes back and says, you absolutely did nothing wrong, which, listen, I've been married to a therapist now for 11 years. I can tell you, Joey's been in some therapy because these were therapy questions back. They weren't even questions. They were observations. Yeah.
So then he starts to say, I'm wondering Could it be that, maybe your sister's a little jealous?
Well, even before that, no, so the best part was, has she ever liked anybody you brought home? And this is why this is so perfect, right? He's asking a question.
Mm-hmm.
We all know what he's saying,
Mm-hmm.
but he's not saying it.
Mm-hmm.
He's asking it in a genuine tone. He's not asking it in a defensive tone. There's real, true curiosity, and Monica has to sit with it and be like, actually,
Right.
no.
It wasn't defensiveness from Joey.
It wasn't defensiveness. It was, I got the feeling she didn't like me. You're telling me I did nothing wrong. Let's look at this from a different angle, right? Okay. Let's put our therapist hat on and say, okay, what else could it be?
Mm-hmm.
Well, let's start with who else has she not liked and who has she liked? And let's find some commonality. So, has she ever liked anybody? Oh, the answer is no. Oh, that's good feedback. So maybe it's not me. Maybe it's something between you two.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe we should explore that, Monica.
So
and just it was
so good.
well, it was so well
and so Monica's saying, like, listen, it's my sister needs to like you. So, like, would you be open to, like, having a conversation with her? And he says, well, yeah, of course, but I think that you need to have a conversation with her
again.
too.
Boom.
It was so good. It was so good. Well, and it was such, like, what a good example of a real couple in a conversation.
Mm-hmm.
Like, that was a mature conversation. It was honest. It was vulnerable. And it wasn't, again, too nice. It was direct, like, as comfortable as it could be for, like, an uncomfortable conversation. It was great.
Look, and if Monica flips out there, it tells you that she lacks maturity. Mm-hmm. They both question. And we are talking about how great Joey did, but I do not want to take away from or not mention that Monica's reaction here also shows a lot of maturity, because she could have very easily gotten defensive.
Right. Like blind loyalty to her sister.
Exactly. And she doesn't do that. She sits with Joey and they have a mature conversation and they move forward. And so as yes, Joey did really, really good, but for Monica's part here, she also crushed it and killed it. Yeah. And that's what tells me that these are two people that actually could get married and have a long, successful marriage, because they're communicating well. And they're in it together. Mm-hmm. Right. And this is a great demonstration of problem solving. I love the whole thing.
Yeah. I'm eager to see where.
And he's in. He's like, I'll if you want to have the sock bin, I'm in. Well, we'll do the sock bin. I mean, I'm probably only going to take my socks out of the sock bin, but, like, I'll do the sock bin with you.
Yeah. Yeah. Thought it was great. All right. Last up, we've got Devin and Virginia.
All right. So they are definitely the couple that I struggle to see how they get to the altar.
Yeah.
I like Ben and Sarah, just because of the naivety and the lack of principles and morals and values that they have of their own. It's how kind of malleable and sort of flexible they are. Tells me that they could actually go and get married.
They could be delusional enough to
enough to actually get there. Yeah. So Devin and Virginia are very nice people. Mm-hmm. They're very attractive people. They seem very genuine. They seem to have good communication. They are talking about important things. They are talking about the future. They're talking about finance and how they would marry their finances together. They're talking about uncomfortable topics like prenups. They're doing all the things that indicate that they should be on the path to a wedding. Why do I not feel like they're getting married? There's just no chemistry between them. Mm-hmm. It feels like they both want it to work so hard, but there's just no chemistry, and they're trying to force it, and they don't know what's wrong. And it's like on paper, this should work, where everything we're saying and doing together feels like it should work. The meetings with the families went mostly well. Like, why is this just not working? Yeah. And I don't know what it is. I don't know that anybody could really express what it is, but it's so clear that there's just no spark between them.
They seem like good friends. But yeah, I don't really see any romantic connection there at all. There seems to be a little bit of a hang up with age, and there is like a real biological factor too. Sure, she's in her early 30s. She's running out of runway in order to have the number of kids that they both want to have.
Mm-hmm. Because they are saying 2 to 6 is the range, which, by the way, that's a huge range.
That is a huge range.
What are we talking about here?
And so, yeah, if they would either need to do some egg or embryo freezing, or get started like right away if they want to.
I mean, she's 33, I believe.
Yeah, 32 or
She's not having 6 kids. That's not
it'd be really tough.
That would be, I mean, yeah, I don't see that happening.
Mm-hmm. So that's like an area that we see them like kind of get into a little bit of playful dialogue about in Honduras. But then when it comes down to meeting his family and them like basically saying like, well, you're a bit older, Virginia, like what are we doing here? I just want to say from a woman's perspective, like it really does suck in that sense that you are more constricted to this clock than like, Devin doesn't necessarily need to worry about this, but she needs to make a decision quickly if she wants to move. And like, that's just the reality. Like there's no one's at fault here. It just like sucks. Their bigger hang up seems to be the prenup situation. She really wants a prenup, and it seems like she has like her head on straight about it. Like whatever we bring in to this is our own, whatever we build together, we split. And that seems to be the most reasonable approach to a prenup that you could have.
For a prenup, that's sort of the starting basis, right? When you walk in, you want to do a prenup, that's a lawyer is going to start from that premise. And then you start negotiating from there, depending on what your interests are. But what you're basically doing is you are saying, hey, at the moment in time where we still love each other and we still care about the other person.
And potentially love each other the most.
Potentially, I hope not, but like potentially love each other the most. We are going to decide a fair and equitable distribution of the assets, of the responsibilities and requirements. And if we can't get through that, and this is why I love prenups. I love prenups because they are a demonstration of values when there are pseudo stakes, right? We're not divorced, but let's talk about how we would carve things up when we are divorced. If you can't have a reasonable conversation and you can't agree on the terms of the prenup, then it's telling you that one of you is not there for the right reason, or it's telling you that that you guys just have a massive values misalignment. Right. The great thing about the prenup is if you walk in there and you negotiate the prenup and both of you are super happy with the prenup and you had very little, negotiating points, and the lawyer is like, yeah, there wasn't much for me to do, and your lawyer bill is really small, then you don't even have to sign the prenup. Because it's telling you that you have the right values and that you guys are more likely to make it. And that's what I love about it. It forces values conversations on people. When we did our prenup, there was exactly one term of the whole prenup, one term that we negotiated on. And the only reason it was a negotiation point was because you were anxious about how you would effectuate that particular term. So it wasn't even the term itself. It was how do you actually take action on that? And so we just made the ability to take action on it more flexible, because you were anxious about it. And that was it. And that's how I knew, like, oh yeah, no, I'm not worried at all about marrying you because the prenup was easy.
Right. I mean, and I think the criticism or maybe the concerns about prenups are that you are going in expecting that your marriage is not going to work out. And I think that is such a fallacy of a belief. I think it's this, especially under these circumstances of Love is Blind, where you know each other for a couple of weeks, like how do you not sign a prenup? But I just don't know how you don't do something to protect your future selves in the event that the worst thing happens. And, I feel like if anything, that almost takes the, like here for the wrong reasons out of it, like to know that someone is in a long lasting marriage with you with eyes wide open and again, for the right reasons, rather than just like staying for the money or whatever it is. Well, we'll see if Devin ends up signing the prenup. We see in a preview that, she, delivers one. We'll see if he ends up signing it, but I don't see them getting married.
No, look, I'm not even sure the prenup is going to be the thing. I think that they're mature enough to like go into this situation and just be like, you know what, it's just not right.
I don't see it being a big dramatic thing. No. I think they both say no at the altar and that's how it ends. Like, yep. I think
they stay in contact, they call each other, at Christmas type thing and, say, hey, send a card every once in a while. But like, I don't see this being dramatic. I think they both feel it. And it's just not right. And that'll be that.
Yeah. Well, I guess we'll see. We have 2 more episodes coming this upcoming week,
Mhm.
and then I believe 1 episode after that. So we're chugging right along here.
I'm hoping they find some drama.
Me too, but not at the expense
Well,
of Taylor and Daniel.
What we are getting is, thankfully, is next week, the next couple of episodes are going to be the episodes where we start bringing in cast members that did not get engaged. And so the problem is that who do we bring? Like, they're going to bring the quad back, but like, why? There's no.
Well, we see that Mason and Meg date or something.
Oh, is that true?
I think
Okay.
that's in a preview. And then I think Madison's probably still going to be mad at Mason and stir the pot that way. There's a lot that could happen.
Well, I think the problem though is that none of the people that got eliminated are connected to the current cast.
Yeah.
And that's like the problem is and that's how you know production's getting desperate. If they just throw the quad in a room and be like, hey, focus on these guys over here again.
Right.
You're like,
and they're gone.
But none of them dated any of the people in any meaningful way on the like these people were all locked in. The only thing that they could bring back is Molly.
Mhm.
Right. And like that's sort of it.
They
Okay,
do bring back Molly.
Molly is the only obvious one to bring back because of the Dave situation. But then it's like, okay, well, if you bring Molly back, then okay, who else does she kind of connect you to? Nobody. So you're just bringing back everybody else just to say hi, and there's no drama. It's drama internal for as long as they're at the party, and then it's gone. It's like, okay, but that's not going to feed through. And so
we don't have that many episodes left, thankfully. I mean, they really front loaded us in the pods. There's really only, again, 3, maybe 4 episodes left, and that's it.
Yeah.
And we still have weddings to get through and a reunion. Okay, so let's call it a day for these episodes. We'll be back with at least episodes 10 and 11. I think that's what we get next. So we'll be back then. And if you're watching Grant Ellis' season of The Bachelor, season 29, we will be back this week with an episode on that too, episode 5, I believe.
Mm-hmm.
So we'll see you over there for that too. Until next time, feel free to follow us on Instagram at Reactivity TV. I'm at Amy Albero, LCSW. You can send us emails to reactivitytv@revivecfw.com for any questions, comments, feedback. But keep dropping your thoughts, rebuttals to Chris in the
agreements with Chris
in the comments below. And we'll see you soon. Bye.
See ya.